Hey guys, Max the Truth here. I'm going to come with you today with a good old Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile. We're going to play some Weather Painters today. Got a pretty good deck, I have to admit. Well, let's hop right into it here. Now, this deck runs a lot with its traps. That's how you win with this deck. So, a card like Weather Painter Snow is really good because when she's normal summoned, she just pops one of those out, spell or trap, doesn't matter. It's pretty good. I mean, I would recommend running 3, but they're short printed, so you might want to cut it back. But you definitely need names in your deck, Weather Painter names, to activate the functions of the traps and spells, so keep that in mind. Next up here, we got some Weather Painter's Thunders here. Now, this guy is your main hitter. You're going to probably win most of your games with him because he's so easy to get out, and, I mean, he is decent strength, 1700 beater. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but keep in mind, you're constantly going to be clearing the board, the enemy's opponent, your opponent's board. So, I mean, you're whittling them away, and you're just depriving them of resources. That's the name of the game. Next up here, we got not 1, not 2, but 3 Weather Painter Suns. These guys aren't the best, but they're a name, and he has a pretty good graveyard effect where he can special summon himself from the grave. So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely worth running 3. The other Weather Painter monsters are not worth playing, in my opinion. They're just not good enough. I mean, this is a competitive deck, I'm not going to lie. And, you know, I really just cut it. I cut all the fat of this deck, and I just made it the best I could. So, going right next after these guys are Kaiju package. We got all 3 Kaijus here. Why are these guys so good in this deck? It's simple, really. They bounce back to your hand. I mean, Weather Painter's biggest effect is that they bounce your opponent's monsters back to the hand. Well, if it's a Kaiju, it goes to your hand, so you can just reuse them. It's really good. It's really good. Now, since you don't have a lot of monsters on your side of the field very often, it's actually really worth playing a Gamma package. I got 3 Gammas here, and, you know, the driver. I mean, it's good. You don't have a lot of monsters on your side of the field. You play traps like Drowning Mirror Force. I'm going to show that off later. So it is pretty good. I mean, other decks, it's not as good. I understand that. But in this deck, since, you know, you're lacking monsters on your side of the field through their effects of searching and like bouncing the hand, it's good. So let's move right onto the spell cards here. We're going to start with an Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. Just take a look at that. That's a good card, okay? Not a lot to say about the Kaiju Slumber. I mean, it does its job. It clears the board, gets you your Kaijus, and puts one on their side of the field. And you can bounce the other one to your hand and attack right at him with a big, beefy Kaiju. I mean, you know, what's not to love with that, you know? Cloudy Canvas. Now, this is going to banish one of your own Weather Painters to half the attack of a monster. Now, this is really effective if you have no other options. Otherwise, you can use the Thunder Painter to, you know, pop this card and search for something better. We only run one of these. We run one of the rainy canvases. These bounce spells back to the hand. This is really good on the end phase. Spells or traps, I'm sorry. Really good on the end phase where if you know they placed a trap, you know, they showed you you know, like a Torrential or Infinite Impermanence, you could just bounce back to their hand on the end phase. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's good if you have it, but, you know, what we need are the 3 Snowy Canvases that we run. Now, these are your search cards. These are amazing. Gets any of the monsters or the spells or the traps. I mean, yeah, I mean, it goes very well. A good combo to do is go into Snow, get Snowy Canvas with her normal summon, pop her to search for a second thing. I mean, right there, you have a spell, another monster or trap, and Snowy Canvas ready to come back on the next standby phase. It's really good combo. So let me tidy this up a bit. Going on into the next set of cards, we have our board wiping cards. Dark Hole is basically a Raigeki since you can clear your own board so effectively and then use Dark Hole. So you basically are running 2 Raigekis if you think about it like that, which I really like. It's pretty strong. Next, sometimes I wish these were not Desires. I wish they were dualities, but, you know, I run 2 of them. 2 Pot of Desires. I never want to draw 2 of them. I hesitate to use one of them, but it can get you out of a pinch, you know. And we're going to go right into our traps after that, so let me move this aside. All right. So for the traps, you notice we run at like it's a pretty healthy amount of monsters to spells to trap ratios for something like spirals or something that it could really help you out. Trust me, I played against spirals before where that kind of helped me out. Where I don't have too many of one card type. Starting off with Thundery Canvas, we play these at 3. Definitely, these are one of the amazing, like most amazing cards in the deck. Banish your own, Weather Painter monster until the next standby phase to pop a monster to hand. It's really good, and it's going to pair very well with the lose one turn and skill drains that I'm going to show you in a bit, because well, you'll see all the lose one turns turn into skill drains basically. But after that, we're running a pretty hefty solemn package here. 4 solemn, 2 strikes, a warning, and a judgment, which is, that the name of the game is depriving your opponent of resources. This is going to get the job done. If anything else doesn't, this is going to. Going right next into the Drowning Moor Forces. Again, these are really good. It shuffles back in the deck, doesn't give your opponent card advantage by returning a hand, or, proccing graveyard effects, like a regular Mirror Force. Shuffling the deck is very strong, but they have to attack directly for you to activate it, which is actually no problem because, you're always bouncing things to hand. So, you're just slowly milling them of their resources, basically. And lastly, or not lastly, but next is our lose one turn package. These are literally just skill drains that last 1 turn for a special summon monster. But if you bounce that monster back to the hand, it's basically an infinite skill drain. That's what it is, basically. And lastly, we have the skill drain itself. And that's the entire deck profile. It's pretty good at what it does. Sometimes it can fall a little bit short. Sometimes you can get really close to a game and kind of peter out at the very end. But that's why you have to really, you have to find a balance between milling their resources and, keeping up with your own resources, basically. So, with that said, let's go into the extra deck real fast. 1 Rainbow here. She's really good if you can get her out, but don't expect her to get her out most games. It's just not going to happen a lot of the time. Like, having 3 of the Weather Painters is a lot stronger than having her in some scenarios, but in some scenarios you can get her out. It's really good. Nightmare Shark for obvious reasons. It's just a good 2000, beat stick, direct attack if you need to finish somebody off. I'd also run an acid golem if I had one, because you can negate their effects a lot of the time. It's they're both good. They're both good. You won't use them a lot, but they're good. Leviair for obvious reasons, in case they negate one of your banishes, you can get a monster back. Yeah, Leviair is a staple in the extra deck. I use a Leviair a lot of the time. Need some extra, back row pop. Get Super Quantum Mech Irma Pulse. And lastly, Break Sword. Just pop in something. It's not a crazy extra deck, but this deck does not run on extra deck stuff. It really relies on the main deck. So that'll do it. Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out my Flat Earth videos, and everybody have a good day.